Sí, yo tengo y sácate entonces la botita de agua, porque es mejor poner champán.
Finally,
Oh,
smelling the roses.
so,
Mr.
Mr. Russell is ready. Yeah, we got it. Actually, this table is better to put it here for you guys. You know what? I would switch. Pues se da esa más grande acá. Esta mesa. What should I put the picture table there?
No, aleja. Vamos a cambiar.
For you guys, the bigger
Cambia la
table.
locura la... Aquí está la picture right
Photo. We are going to take pictures to the newspaper, to the North Bay Village, Miami Herald. Oh, are you going to be filming everything, right? Yes. Guys, I'm going to be passing a signing sheet. We're going to be asking you for your email. We're going to be asking you, you're going to receive some documents tonight. You'll receive the settlement agreement that Mr. Russell, our lawyer, is going to be talking about that tonight. So everything is here. If you could sign up, we're going to start with you, Frank, your name, apartment number, email address, and once you receive that document, that we're going to give you the settlement agreement.
Este es el settlement de colega y este es el final order.
Sí.
¿Eso tiene el signing sheet?
I give it to Frank.
Oh, Frank, I guess to the man.
Eso después cuando quieran te lo pongo en el Dropbox para todo el mundo.
Sí, eso llegó así. Se mandó por email, pero sí, póngalo, para que quede todo.
Sí, pues, así siempre hay un punto oficial.
Correcto.
El abridor para el vidrio después, te compré spray a ti, me dijiste.
Put it back on, put it on the elevator, go off screen.
What about? Honey, I got two
How you doing?
I'm not telling you yet. Are we gonna go up there?
We can set.
Hey, how you doing? Good.
These guys some deals, they have regulars go into court. Then they have to file a Condo, right? The judgment is set until they file a petition for Condo is, I don't know if it's gonna be, it'll be automatically granted because basically some court has to look at this and make a determination that there's a reason for going through this file all over again.
These people, I don't
Yeah, but I mean, he's gonna give out the arbitrator's decision. The arbitrator basically, didn't want to look behind. Before this gets issued,
So yeah, we will introduce you the board, we have the things you need, we have the opener for the wine, for you, and everything that you think.
So I'm gonna put up the said that they could either go back to the arbitrator and ask the arbitrator The issue is, I mean, they've got to pay attorney's fees. And the losing party has to pay attorney's fees, and the winning party, this money has to come, although they're probably not scared of
She stays
So
there.
the attorney's fees,
Or we don't give them a key, we open the doors, and open and then close
they
it.
should be paying
I
attorney's fees.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
So I don't put us in this position where we reach the contract before they do.
Yeah,
So I'm almost
So much,
more inclined to give
so much to lose.
and say,
To have to stay on top.
go ahead and
That's
do
my
it.
concern has always been that we have to, get together and say, do another vehicle if we have. Well, with this one, it's it depends on whether they've got all the files. And, there's, you also talked to him yesterday, an attorney
On Monday morning.
is ruling levied under the federal.
Yeah, exactly. And they do want to get over.
Which holds an attorney responsible and liable for filing a frivolous court course of action. And he said that has been embraced, incorporated into the Florida statute. And so that attorney, I intend to file a claim for discourse that the attorney's still this guy, I'm hoping maybe we can do it. I also think it would be bad. He's got a license. And here it would be that they
Because an email, I'm asking him to produce certain documents for us to pay attention to that
the
first.
generator.
He did get a little verbally aggressive case, but she was really want to board members get aggressive and speak.
I mean, I wish I had that earlier.
Okay.
I wish I had done it earlier so yeah, but he, okay, with that, no, Steve told me.
Sí. Ah, corazón, ¿cómo estás? ¿Bien? Yo llamé y le mandé no te respondió. Ah, bueno, pero no importa, o sea, ahora
Shelly, she's in New York, her flight was delayed. This is her mom, so she's gonna put Shelly's on the and put Russell there to say hi to Shelly.
You don't want that.
Her flight, she missed her flight.
yo le
Yeah,
estuve
New
diciendo
York.
algunas cositas porque yo tuve 2 o 3 problemas con nosotros.
Yeah, I know.
Estaba comentando que los pacientes
Well, I think,
en algunos casos iba a pasar eran fraudulentas. En algunos otros casos
the arbitrators. But they have 30 cases.
Mira,
¿cómo tú eres?
Nelson.
Ah, Nelson, ¿qué tal?
¿Cómo estás? Bien, bien.
Nos conocemos
Sí, nos conocemos por los Indians, con los... Sí, Medina.
Yo tengo un management company, pero lo utilizo para mi propio beneficio, en el sentido de que yo no hago difícil usar mi departamento. Pero sí conozco la ley y les puedo aconsejar algunas cositas. Inclusive yo lo que les estaba proponiendo a ellas es que acá el management company que hay que hire tiene que ser el mejor, porque por ahora van a estar ellos, pero ¿cuánto van a estar? 1 o 2 días, y después ya... O sea, lo que pasa es que no sabemos el contrato. Bueno, por supuesto que no sabemos el contrato, pero si ellos en los últimos 3 meses firmaron un contrato, ese contrato se valida.
Sí,
¿Ok? Y lo que yo le decía al abogado, a mí no, yo sé positivamente que el contrato se hace en backdate. Yo lo vi en J. Queens, que es un contrato backdate. Entonces, si lo hacen backdate, no tenés una forma de saber. Entonces hay que empezar a hacer depositions para ver realmente. Bueno, ya.
Whenever you're ready
I'm ready whenever you guys
Yeah,
are.
well, yeah, no, let's begin and.
Back for
Compartimos esto, Rosso, can we just, everybody sign up the sign sheet,
No, I
right?
didn't.
Oh, by Bettina, okay.
Steve Curtis, we never met. Hi, how are you?
Bettina.
Glad to help out.
No, mamá, es
Sí, how are you doing, Tony? Good? How are you, Bobby? Well, this is not over yet.
Just one more
This
step.
is, yes, your lawsuit, my friend, that apartment, you need to take it back. That's where we are, just, yeah.
We had supposed to go Wednesday, and that was
Yeah. Hey, Frank, because his apartment was, his trial was postponed, so that would be great if you could check out his apartment against mine.
It was postponed, why was it?
For the new, they don't know the date. María, estamos pasando el atenda. ¿Quién más del piso viene? ¿Quién más del piso viene? ¿Lo avisaron?
¡Ay, tenemos cookies! ¡Wow!
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. My name is Russell Robbins. I'm with the law firm of Basulto Robbins and Associates. I've been helping the association out with the recall. Tonight is the first board meeting for the new board members resulting from the recall. If you haven't heard already, the recall was certified on the 25th, which was Wednesday. Shortly after we got the order from the arbitrator, we've scheduled a meeting, giving 48 hours continuous notice for the meeting, and this is the first board meeting for the association. So we've got a couple of things procedurally we're going to go through in the meeting, and then I'm happy to answer any questions, and I think that there's some food and drink for everybody in celebration afterwards. So
Any video?
You guys can
No, where is it?
So
Right here. Sorry, I don't mean to bother you. I have to make my statement.
He can't see the.
Yeah, put it over there.
Sí, María, para
You can't see the board now.
You can't see who?
You can't see the board.
Eso después, el fin del video lo ponemos allá abajo para que todo el mundo lo vea. Pero vámonos para un lado.
No, ahí no se ve.
Bueno, ahorita por ahora mientras organizamos.
Si lo pones por la puerta, María, se va a ver completo en la pantalla. Entonces ahí está.
Ahí.
You should put it behind them, and that way you can see it behind them. There's a nice backdrop.
Ahí sí se ve perfecto.
¿Se ve todo?
Bueno, se ve 3 de los 4.
all right. So I have
Pero al fin del video tú vas pasando por adelante y eso es la última parte del video.
7:15. All right. So we're going to call the meeting to order officially at 7:15 p.m. Elsa is going to call it to order. Okay. Seconded by
Alexandra de Estrella.
Okay.
Ahí
All
se
right.
ve.
And then why don't you guys introduce yourselves to the people here that may not know you?
Después iba a pasar.
You want me to sit down?
No, es que
Me? Okay. All right.
You want a chair,
You guys
Rosso?
want to briefly introduce yourself to anybody here? Blackman?
To the lawyer.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Rosso.
Let's take some photos.
That's
You're
okay.
here?
Picture time. Bettina, todo el mundo. This is our new board, guys, and Mr. Rosso.
All right, so procedurally, we've got a couple of things on the agenda for this evening tonight. The first is going to be to assign the officer positions. So we have 3 new board members. We have 4 officer positions available: president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And then we're going to go into some business with regards to getting rid of the other attorneys that were representing the association, and then we'll answer any other questions you guys have with regards to the recall process. So we'll. Coming back?
Yeah.
She went to open the door? Okay, so we'll give her a second.
Nelson, can you take care of the last me so Elsa can come?
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure, yeah, she's the member of the board, she needs to be here. So we're gonna fix it.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
All right.
Ready?
So yes, so we called it to order. We're taking the first order of business as the assignment of the officer position. So I think you guys have had some discussion before as to who's going to take what positions. So I just need a motion as to who is going to be president. Who's gonna make the motion?
You want to make the motion?
Sure.
Okay, a motion to appoint myself, Elsa Hall, as president.
Okay. Seconded.
I motion myself,
So,
Alexandra.
No, you have to
Oh,
second
Vice
it.
President.
Seconded first.
You have to accept it. Say hi.
All right, so Alexandra's gonna second it. Okay. Any other nominations for president? Okay. All right, so then that motion passes unanimously. Okay. So now we need a motion for vice president.
Want me to motion?
Sure.
A motion to appoint Alexandra as vice president.
Okay. Seconded by?
You have to
Tanya?
accept it.
And I'm assuming you accept it?
Accepted, and I'm the Vice President.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's up
So-
first.
Motion passes unanimously. Yes.
I'm going to do both of them. 'cause
Both
I know
of
that's
doors.
how- Yeah, just in case. I don't know who else has keys.
Rafael, this, what you have in there, beside the, our keys, copies of the keys, what you have in there that you all the time go in there? Document, you have files, they have files?
Yes, yes,
Oh, okay,
yes.
so we have to check it. We have to, okay.
So what is the last name?
Motion.
Huh?
I motion.
Yes.
Go ahead,
So-
motion to.
I motion and I appoint Tanya Soberon as a treasurer, secretary and treasurer.
Okay. All right, and then.
I'll second it.
Elsa. Okay, all right. So, and then I'm assuming no other nominations from that, so that motion passes unanimously. So, president is Elsa.
Yes.
Vice president is
I'm not gonna wait
Alexandra.
until the end. It sounds to me like this, you
And
know?
Tanya is the secretary treasurer.
That works.
All
You.
right, so now we've
See
got,
Raul, it works, huh? You see Raul, it works.
now we've got three nominations for, three motions for terminating the existing law firms that are representing the association. Legacy Law, Mark Perlman, and Glazer and Sachs. And we'll do those individually, but, you know, so.
No, it will fall. Perfect the way it was.
Motion by Alexandra to terminate legal law.
Okay, Legacy Law, seconded by,
Perfect, thank you.
Oh,
This is second.
Tanya.
all right, so Tanya's gonna second that.
To terminate.
All right, so, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
That's one
Aye.
down. All right, so, motion to terminate Mark Perlman.
For 8 years, aye.
Hey, Mr. Shut up.
Okay, so Tanya's gonna make that motion?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yes, to terminate Mark
Okay.
Perlman.
All right. Seconded by,
Motion by Alexandra to terminate Glazer and Sachs.
oh wait, we gotta finish Perlman first, so I'll take that as a second for terminating Perlman.
Perlman.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor on that?
Aye.
Okay, that one
Don't you
passes.
realize it?
Yes, I am.
Yes? Yes. Okay, unanimous, okay. All right, and then the third one is as to Glazer and Sachs.
Okay, I'll do the motion. Motion
Okay.
to terminate Glazer and Sachs.
All
¿A quién, perdón?
right, seconded by,
Yes.
okay, so Alexandra,
Coleta, ¿no?
and then all those in favor?
Yes.
Yes,
Tanya.
okay, all right, so that
We
one
wanted
passes
a special
unanimously.
elevator for the penthouse. All right.
All right.
We'll get, that's what better. Don't worry, we'll get it together. That's what happened when they're cooking now.
All right, now it's the motion to hire my firm.
No one's saying anything.
I
can't make that
now we get start charging.
Wait till they change the locks first.
Okay, motion to retain Mr. Basuto Robinson Associate.
Okay.
And a hearty thank you from all of us for helping.
Thank you, yeah, good round of applause. Thank you. You saved us, huh?
You guys did all the hard work in collecting the votes. Okay, all those in favor?
Yes.
That's unanimous. All right, so that's through all of the business that we had for today, but before we, I guess, adjourn the meeting and have some food and snacks, are there any questions anyone has on the process, or where we go from here, or anything other, affecting the association?
I do.
You first.
No, go for it.
In regards to all the crazy debts that these guys racked up from after the recall, will you be going through the process of rolling them back or dumping them on them, or is that way beyond the scope of this?
I have to look at it and see, but the normal course of the recall process is that the existing board, while the recall is pending, is able to continue to conduct business on behalf of the association. So effective now, with the new board, the old board members shouldn't be having access to funds, shouldn't be having access to the office or changing the locks. There shouldn't be any checks that are in transit that are written out. So from here on in, everything is going to be reviewed by these board members, just to make sure. But there's not a guarantee that we can get back any of the money that was spent or wasted. But we will be evaluating, what went on there and determining if there's any cause of action that we have to go against those board members personally.
The bank accounts are not owned by Bayshore, they're owned by the management company. So expect that to be,
I can assure you that the bank accounts are owned by the association. They may be conveniently located at a bank that the management company utilizes, but the accounts are 100% in the association. So
are you 100% sure?
They cannot be in the management company.
When I was a board member, they're the ones who opened it up.
They may have opened it, but it would be in the associations. They might be
The only ones
very-
that sign are the
Yeah.
board members.
I would be very surprised if the account was in the
You
management.
will be surprised.
I'm sure there are going to be
If
things
our
that surprise me.
attorney was surprised as well.
So I have a question on the banking thing. So at this point right now, can they go and write a check, or you guys have to notify the bank, or how do we know to get their signature changed?
No, the management company notifies the
Right.
bank,
Well,
because when I was a board
Maria,
member.
let him
Well, they don't go and change the
No,
cards.
let me finish. When I was a board member, I tried to notify the bank and they said, sorry, we only get directions from the management company. I'm sorry.
I'll be happy to notify the bank.
Okay.
My firm represents
Good.
200
Well,
associations in the
that's-
Tri-County area.
Yeah.
We deal with all
That's
the
what
major
I'm here
banks.
for, so
I'll be
to
happy to
warn
reach
you,
out to
you
them.
know?
Now, again, the
There's a
bank,
court
the bank
order.
is the bank is closed for the day, and I don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. But first thing on Monday morning, the board members will have an updated annual report that reflects their names as officers and directors for the association, and they're going to change the signature card, so nothing new as of Monday will go through. But if there's anything that they're foolish enough to pass as a check that's inappropriate over this weekend, then we'll be happy to look into that as well, because that order was effective as of the 25th, that they were no longer board members.
One question, sorry. If they have an ATM card,
They have it.
they have it,
That's
right?
against
They
the
should
law.
have an
You're
ATM
saying
card because
it's
it's against
So-
the law now.
So-
So they're not permitted to have either a debit card or a credit card in the
But,
association's
but
name.
so that is something that it has to be, we
every-
can call the bank and cancel that, right?
Every bank that dealt with associations canceled all of those credit cards as soon as the law changed. So there shouldn't be any cards that are in the name of
Our
the
prior
association.
treasurer went shopping with it, here at the
One
gas
thing that I
station.
am worried about is there was a pattern of pre-authorized transfers to an account. My suspicion, I won't know until Monday and you guys are able to check, is that would be another account that they have, and they're because you make a request and it sucks immediately since they're linked. How much access will they have until that gets?
Well, it's a
I mean,
felony,
if-
they take money from the
Right.
association, and
If-
starting
if-
Monday,
if
they
the-
go to jail right
If the
away.
account is still with the same bank, then when we reach out to the bank, we'll notify them that any accounts in the association's name to be changed over. If the money is wired out from one account to another bank account that we don't have information as to who, where that account is, then that might be problematic. But we'll get to the bottom of it. And like you said, these things become criminal at certain points when you start moving money out of an account that you shouldn't have access to.
What's gonna happen when the 10-day lapses and you can't get the financial records from the management company?
The management company is not bound by that 10 days. The 10 days is the time period for the former board members to return any original records in their possession. I don't know what original records they have, and it's kind of difficult to prove
You
that.
mean it within themselves, but not
Right.
the management company?
Right, the management company is still having access, to
They are
those
still
records.
the
They're
manager
still the
for this
management
building
company,
until
for the
you
association.
terminate them.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Marcela, please,
so,
Marcela,
can I-
let's go give it an
No, but
opportunity to talk.
can I answer
Maria.
that question? No, but seriously, you cut me
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
She can go after I go, but let me
Okay,
finish the
okay,
point,
okay,
you
okay.
know,
Well,
if you don't mind.
Okay.
This is a question
Yeah.
and answer session, so I
Yeah.
don't know
So the
the
question
answers.
that I have is, so regarding
Sure.
what you were saying about the records, so we continue in the same thread without going in circles. I made a lot
love that
of
sound.
records requests.
I love it.
I made a lot of record requests. They are still pending with the DVPR, so investigations are going on. And what I would like to happen is that the DVPR subpoena the records because they have the power to subpoena. That's why I keep bombarding them with requests, because eventually they wanted me to pay for it. Thank you
You'll
very
have to
much,
ask the
but no.
DVPR, but they do have the ability to do that, and, you know,
So
We'll have to look
collaborate
at
with
those
me
records.
because you're an attorney and I've been peddling for quite some time
I,
all by myself on behalf of the new ladies.
whatever
in court.
records that you're looking for, if you send it to me, I'll be happy to ask for them on behalf of the association from the management company. There are certain records that we're asking for right now for the new board so that they have an opportunity to look at different
No, I
contracts that
have
are
a
in place.
folder. It's quite.
Then I'll be happy to stick around and get what the records you're
All
looking
right,
for.
thank you,
Sure.
appreciate it.
No problem.
Marcela,
Yes, I have two questions. One, who is the company? What is the company who will be the association?
What is the company for?
The management
the
company?
new management company,
And then
she's
there will
asking.
be an association company.
There is not any new management company at this point. The association is still managed by Association Specialty Group or AMG, or whatever, they go by different, a
Until
couple
we do a
different names.
new meeting and we change it.
But
No,
again,
let's get the records first.
every contract that the association is subjected to right now, we're gonna review. And every vendor that the association is doing business with, we're gonna review. And we'll make recommendations, you know, my firm will make recommendations to the board as far as whether or not those contracts can be canceled or not canceled, whether we have pause to cancel those, or whether we have to wait until a period of time runs until the next term. But we'll evaluate all of those contracts. You know, I advise all of my clients the same way, that if we're getting into a contract with anybody, it should have an easy 30-day out with a few very limited exceptions. And the reason for that is that as long as you have a very short leash, you'll make sure that you're always assured by the vendors that you work with. The longer a contract you give them, and the more difficult it is to get out of that contract, that's how you know that you're gonna have problems with that vendor while they service your community. So, I live every day, you know, as an attorney with a simple 30-day termination. Everybody in my profession does. You know, if you don't like your attorney, you can always get rid of them with short notice. I have to make sure I make my clients happy. And every vendor, you know, should make the association happy. And as I say to all of the board members, you guys sit here and you're unpaid. And your job is very difficult and you need all the help you can get. And the people that you surround yourself with that you're paying should make your life easier. And if they don't, then you need to change those people out. And that's a simple
But the
philosophy.
management company, we need to get the records before we fire them.
Absolutely. But the management company has a license, and the management company has an obligation to provide us those records. And just like you complained to the DVPR with regards to the association, a similar complaint can be made about the management company and not having the accurate records for the association.
So when the
So
management,
we'll evaluate
when the
that as well.
DVPR contacts you, tell them that the laws have changed because the crooked board put a clause that I couldn't do more than 1 hour inspection the first time, 30 minutes the second time, 15 minutes the third time, 7 minutes the fourth time, 1 document per quarter.
I can assure you that, number one, first and foremost, the new board is gonna have to familiarize themselves with the records first. And we will make sure that we get those records to the owners that need to see it. You know, here at the table is a copy of the settlement agreement that the association is subjected to on the Coletta lawsuit.
Oh,
I can tell you that was, you know, so some of the owners here had to jump through hoops to ask for it and was never given. I sent an email to the attorneys involved and I had it probably within a half an hour later.
Yeah, because they fear you, yeah.
So the records are here, and we'll make every effort to get those records to you guys. I can't tell you what state those records are in the office. You know, these are new board members. They've been in office for roughly a half an hour. But they will quickly familiarize themselves with everything that's going on for the association.
My next question actually is, how long of a leash do we have with the current management company?
I haven't seen their
I think
contract.
it's 30 days.
No, they said
No,
that
it
it's a
depends on the 30, of the contract they have signed.
non-cancelable agreement until September of 2020.
But usually it's about 30 days, right?
You know,
No, it
again,
depends.
it depends on what the board signed. you know, the board can
So we
sign
don't know the answer
the board
to
can
that.
sign a 5-year contract. I mean, it's.
Do we know the answer to that?
We'll know shortly, because
Okay.
we're asking for all of
You
it.
can
It would be
still terminate
interesting
them and have them make a lawsuit.
We have been like
Yeah.
interviewing, it's good that you said, Alejandra, you interview with 2 of the management companies, GRSN, Maria Barrio, Chicken Mir. You interview Ana Rivero. So we are working on that.
Okay.
We are working on that. We know that the people that have auto debit, like I am, ACH, October 1st, it's Tuesday. So do we cancel this, or we just, the payment is gonna be taken out of the debit? In this case, let everything.
I mean, I would bet that money is going into an association account. I would be shocked if that account was not going there. It is a,
It's
you know,
going
it
to
would
be
be illegal for
association.
that money to be in the associate, you know, in the management company's name.
They got cute in the beginning of this month, and they scared everyone, saying that 108 units hadn't paid.
I saw that. I saw that, so.
Speaking of not paid, I haven't paid, because they got me, I own 4 units. They're having some crazy collections, they're charging me $100 a month, and $600 for this, and 2 for that, and 1,000 for that. So I basically told them to go F themselves. So I owe lots of money, I have the checks in my car for all 3 assessments, probably the last 3 to 4 months. I just haven't given it to them, so I know they're gonna take half of it and send it to their buddies at the collection agency and keep the other half to themselves. Even though I take it out to Bayshore, you know, I come in here, I get them to stamp each month I pay to show that I'm paying for that month.
But they are gonna do the new checks, so if they
No,
decide
they're not
they
gonna
don't.
steal my money, but, so just so you guys know, and I think I included you in one of the emails too, I have like $40,000 that I need to pay, but I just haven't, because I didn't want the crooks to steal it. So when is it safe to give these ladies the money?
Tuesday. I hope.
It should be early next week. Again, it's gonna take me some time to get the files from the old attorneys, and
So I'll
to
do,
get a hold of it.
Alexandra, you're looking at me, so what I'll do is I'll just be in touch with Alexandra, I have her number and everything.
We just want to
You guys
wait,
let
we
her
don't
know
want to
once-
make any decisions right now. Yes, because we want to follow Mr. Russell's
Yeah, of course.
rules.
We're-
So once he
We're gonna have to get
says,
those files from the
go
attorney,
ahead,
and then we'll.
then
Yeah.
we are here to serve everybody.
Just sit down when you see the file, the lawsuit
We
against
will
me.
need the money. We
For
will
this
need the
crew
money
that came
big
out of
time.
the exit sign
For
for
collections,
$15,000,
we'll have to
okay?
check if this is in collections with your lawyer. Like I see that Juan sent you an email, and Tanya, that you need to talk to your lawyer up to see if you are in collection, because if that's in collection, it's a different, so, I mean, I don't know what is, because there are fees, so it's something that we
Yeah,
have the
but-
board have to
The thing
investigate.
is,
Listen.
the ridiculous fees.
Yeah, but the ridiculous fees,
It's $100
if they
a
have to
month.
be paid by the association, so the association does not pay them, that's it, you know? Because they are gonna be writing the checks.
Yeah, we will have to really look into that, investigate before they, because right now they just are new. They
Of
just have to
course.
familiarize with everything.
We just beginning, please. We
Yes,
just
beginners.
starting.
Yeah.
And please
Well,
remember
that's why we
that
are here
most,
to support you,
and,
Bettina,
and,
go
and
here.
just remember
I see.
that most likely they're going to appeal.
Of course.
I'd like to give you my website. There is a tab says East Balconies. You're gonna find the fraud on the balconies. I mean, everybody that incriminated, the architect, the inspector, the engineer,
One
the
thing at a
board
time, baby
member,
steps.
everyone,
Baby steps,
hi,
one thing at a
everyone is incriminated on that, okay? So I presume you should
I
be
have-
able to knock those off, those liens for the $1,600,000 for the balcony.
I have a question. My question is, when do you think that we will be able to make an audit?
After you get the
An
financial
audit.
records.
I mean, the association, I'm sure, has to do an audit every year based on the number of units in the association and the annual budget. That audit is not a forensic audit. That
No, I'm
audit is
talking about
not,
the-
you know,
yeah.
I mean, you know, the issue with a forensic audit is gonna be the expense. I mean, the forensic audit is gonna run roughly $20,000 at a minimum, if not more.
30.
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive.
But do you think it has a purpose, or we're gonna waste
Well,
our time?
Part of anything is whether or not there's a chance of recovering any monies. I mean, if there's a.
But if they have
Yeah.
property that bought with
Yeah, the
legal
management
money.
company
We have to
has-
look, we have to do asset searches if there's anything out there, if there's.
Everyone
money
has a
action
boat.
and see.
He has an apartment. It's funny that that he's disputing. He took it away. You want to explain that apartment 704 that you have against the crew?
I bought an apartment paid for cash.
Okay.
And he never transferred title.
But
He
you
kept
didn't have
begging
a-
me, oh, just let me hang on to my name for another 6 months or a year because I'm the president. He used to be friendly with him. And then it get to the point where he just took it out of his name and put it in his corporation. Even though I
CJ
bought it,
Cars.
I have it, so it's in court right now, dealing with what I'm dealing with. That's a 50. That's not even the 4 we're talking about.
So if this guy lose that, he have no, of course, we have the recall, we won,
Right.
but we were praying, we were hoping that Steve will win that case, but he knew that. So
Right.
that case of the Steve Tripes is being prolonged, what is missed. Now you you file again this year. It's been like 5 years, even though they live across the street in the high-end building 360. We are dealing with people that they're very sneaky. I don't know if they are recording this or whatever, but they know their way around. The only asset that we know is that apartment, 704. We don't know if they have anything in Albania or Sweden or whatever.
Listen, you start looking Airbnb and you find them.
Well, the mother-in-law has.
Well, the
407.
border, 407, that is the Akil Hills here, 407, because that apartment, it is repossessed, it's in, I told you this, and they keep doing Airbnb, and that apartment is foreclosure, it's in foreclosure, and
So
we have the
it's
registration
under the
forms,
association
and it's
name?
still, that it's under the bank and was sold to the mother, to the wife mother, Sisimana El Shaddad. So we have all of that evidence, Raul, thanks to Raul, he's very resourceful. And Maria had that website, and we have been digging information, so we have all that evidence, and we got the guest registration forms.
This is a stepping stone, I
And
guess.
Frank, you also find out something, right?
Well, no, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take advantage of Russell being here, because I think, Steve, you said that they'll probably appeal, and Steve asked about that, and the arbitrator's order is there, and I recommend that folks read it. And we had a discussion about this, Russell, so I think it might be helpful for folks to understand how they can appeal. I mean, at the end of the arbitrator's decision, it says that this order is binding immediately unless they file a motion for trial de novo within 30 days. Can you just...
So I'll give you a brief overview on the recall process. So I mean, the recall process is a way in which the owners are able to remove the board members in between annual elections. Otherwise, boards are elected in essence every year. If there's a vacancy that somebody resigns, the board usually fills that vacancy on their own. But when the board is obviously not representing the interest of the owners have an option to remove them. It's a hard thing to do, as you guys see. To have an election, you only need 20% of the owners casting a vote in the election in order to have a valid election. To do a recall, you have to get a majority of the owners to participate and vote in favor of removing them. So it's a much harder thing to accomplish. I usually tell people when your board sucks, just vote them out next year. But when they really suck, you have no other choice but to do a recall. The entire process I did pro bono. I did not charge the association a penny for anything.
Thank you,
in the
that
case.
was fun. You saved us.
I did it because I enjoy it. You know, I see a lot of, you know, my firm represents a lot of associations, and I'll tell you that the ones I enjoy representing the most are the ones that come in after a recall, because I deal with a lot of board members that have egos. I deal with a lot of board members that probably are on the board for the wrong reasons. But the board members that come on the board after a recall, they come on for the best interest of the community. It was a hard fight to get on here, and they do great things. So I'm looking forward to that. So the recall, the final order from the arbitrator, the recall process goes through arbitration. It's not litigated yet at this point. The DBPR has an arbitration section. All of the condos in the state of Florida pay $4 per unit to the state for certain services, including the DBPR that you can file a complaint with, and including the arbitration section that arbitrates certain types of disputes. The arbitrator's decision in this case is subject, in essence, to a 30-day time period that the parties have that they can appeal for a trial de novo, which basically, it's not an appeal in the typical sense of an appeal. You know, when you go to court and somebody loses and somebody wins and somebody's unhappy and they appeal the case, they're usually appealing because the judge applied some wrong area of law for some reason. And just that particular decision is being analyzed. In a trial de novo, it's almost another bite at the apple. The parties get to start over from the beginning. This case was settled on very well settled law. The issue here is whether or not the board is able to look at anything outside of the four corners of the documents that they were served with, the ballots. They seem to believe that they can, and I tried to tell them that they couldn't, and they seem to disagree, but the arbitrator sided with my argument. In fact, the arbitrator cited to all of the cases that I cited to. So, which tells me he did a good job with it.
Yeah. Hey, we have something. This is going to be an atomic bomb on Monday.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
So
And Tanya should be there at 7 a.m. when
the 30
Woodson comes
30
in.
days runs from the 25th, which was the day that the order was entered, and they have the ability to file in essence, a trial de novo and appeal with the circuit court. I've been refreshing and checking every 5-10 minutes today to see if it had been filed, because that would have thrown a
No
monkey
attorney
wrench into our party.
As I said, no attorney will do it, because who's gonna be paying that?
Right.
Which
So
attorney is gonna get paid to do that?
So that's the good question. So I mean, as of right now, we verified that nothing has been filed. They have not asked the arbitration for a stay on the enforcement of the order. That I would know, because they would have to send me a copy of that. On the service list, I would have to get an email of that. I didn't get that. I've checked the clerk's docket. They haven't received any filing on behalf of the association for a trial de novo. So we do have 30 days. But what's going to happen tonight is we're going to update Sunbiz. The new board members are going to be listed on Sunbiz. On Monday morning, they're going to change the signature cards in all the banks. So the old board members won't have access to the account. And some of my colleagues as attorneys are a little bit more money hungry. But they're going to have to question how they're going to get paid if the old board members don't have access to the bank account. And that could put a big question mark in whether they're going to continue working for the association, or for these people. I don't doubt that they're going to be difficult. They basically threatened me and said that they're going to appeal, and that we can't do anything for the 30 days. So if you read through the order, and there's enough copies of it, I want people to understand that the order is effective upon issuance. And in the order, the arbitrator says that the old board members have to turn over their documents within 10 days of the order. So, but on the last page, he talks about the 30 days for them to file for a trial de novo.
What's the 10 calendar?
It's I think he put
10 business days.
I think he,
So October 8th.
did he put business? Put 10 business days. So had the concern been that they had 10 days after the 30, he would have said they have 40 days from the date of the order. So I want you guys to understand that when you read that last paragraph in the order where it says, unless either side has filed, replace the unless with the word until, and that'll give you a more
Who wants a
meaningful,
copy of the?
understanding.
Somebody find an order.
Let him
Okay,
finish.
let him finish. That's a good idea.
So we'll
That's a
see.
good point, yeah.
We'll all breathe a collective sigh of relief when the 30th day passes, just so we know that it's final and that's the end of it. We may not have heard the last of them. They might still be able to challenge the recall on their own individually, but then they would have to hire an attorney at their own expense and go through that process. It's going to be, an interesting ride. The association has its annual election coming up in March. So, we're hoping that will start a new process for the board going forward, and then it's up to you owners to make sure that somebody like that doesn't get back on the board in the future. So
I have a question for you. What happens if they don't want to give you the financial records to the board?
the management company has to have the financial records.
No, I know they have them.
I'm presuming that the board members will not give me any record that they have in their possession, and part of the problem is I don't know what they have. If there are no records in the office, the association is self-managed. We have a little bit more leverage to go after the board members to get records back. But the trouble is that as a board member, you're entitled to maintain whatever records you had while you were legitimately on the board. So if they had access to financial reports or contracts and things of that nature, they're entitled to hold on to that. And frankly, we don't need back things that we have a copy of. We're only going to be looking for things that we can't find that don't exist.
My question is, the board doesn't have any financial records because they don't have they don't have it. But the management company has in the Pembroke Pines office. So what happens in the scenario that you ask for the financial statements, not the financial statements, but the reports that are prepared while you do the financials? What about if they don't want to surrender those?
The management company will answer to me. And I can assure you that whatever records are in their possession, they will turn over to me.
Okay,
That is
so
without question.
so you turn them to the DBPR, and the DBPR will give them to me. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Remember that they are still the manager for Bayshore, and they will answer to them.
Right.
Yeah, just a follow-up question. In my opinion, I think that the thing that we ought to do first thing on Monday is to access the password so that we can access the email communications for all the owners.
Yes.
That's really, really critical. Secondly, I wanted to ask you whether, assume they file a petition for a trial de novo. I've been thinking about how easy it would be for us to demonstrate that they have violated their fiduciary duty by. So I'm asking whether the DBPR will look at that.
Can you please close the door? I don't hear nothing.
Once they file, the DBPR loses jurisdiction. So then the circuit court will have the jurisdiction over the case, and we'll have to deal with them. You know, they can file it for a trial de novo if they want to. I've used in my emails the word frivolous a number of times because I don't believe that there's any merit to the challenge. I think that the case law is well settled, and if the attorney chooses to file the suit, if an attorney files a frivolous suit, then it's not that at the end of the day I go back against the board members who are judgment proof. I can go back against the attorney personally if the court determines that the pleading is frivolous. So I've made it very clear to them if they choose to file that I do intend to go after them for it. So that is going to give them some pause and some hesitation as to whether or not they want to be personally responsible for attorney's fees. Just so you know that in the event that the court does grant that in that situation, that's an automatic that they will notify the Florida bar that the attorney has violated their fiduciary obligation to their client and
I'm filing a frivolous claim. So, but my question was whether once DBPR loses jurisdiction, we couldn't seek the additional remedy, while going through with the recall and the appeal of removing the board members for violation of fiduciary duty.
You can separately file. Obviously, the DBPR has the ability to remove individuals. Obviously, if they're arrested and charged with embezzlement of association funds, it's an automatic removal.
Well, I mean, they run an Airbnb. They're doing what is the term? Self-dealing. They're self-dealing like that's a classical.
It's in writing.
They rented units.
I don't want to resign because I do a business. They
rented units from unit owners, selling them that they were going to live there, and then they put them in the Airbnb and they pocket the profit.
Six advertisers.
They have employees. Our concierge, they mingle their finances. They are using this guy check in, check out. They have the cleaning. I mean, they have a whole system for their business, and we are paying for them.
And we have
but I mean,
the evictions
I just want to focus on the question. So the question is whether seeking that remedy, whether I hear what you say that the court would take jurisdiction, whether DBPR would have jurisdiction of the additional claim to remove them in case of the file.
They could. I will tell you, I'm not aware of any instance where the DBPR has done that and has removed the director for financial misappropriation or things of that nature. I wish I could tell you that the system works quicker than that, but it generally doesn't. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I will tell you that the more they protest, the more likely it is that we're going to find something interesting as we go through those records. So, but like you said, if they've got a functioning business and they're taking advantage of it, that explains
one of
a
the
lot.
interesting ones that you won't find it because that was all cash. So far as I know, I got complaints from the cleaning ladies that were taking care of the Airbnbs. There was an employee here that was taking a $15 cut from every cleaning of every apartment. Somebody supervising. Well, enough.
All right. Any other questions?
So in order to get to access the address, the email address of the owners, would we have to approach ASD and make a formal?
Well, the board should have that access, and that's one of the items that I'm gonna ask for from the management company, so we have that, because really that's the important thing is the ability to communicate, you know, and that's gonna be your number one weapon against anything that they're gonna try to do by being able to communicate with the owners. And the more information that those owners have, because there's not a lot of owners that are here, you know, at the meeting, but you know, being able to communicate with them and let them know what's going on, I think they'll understand. You know, they have to understand what's going on.
Well, but now that we have access to the office, I mean, is there anything to prevent us from going through the board, from going through whatever records are available to see if there is a list of?
They can go through the office and anything in there if they want, absolutely.
This weekend.
Now, if you need help.
You're gonna need a password, I bet.
Well, you need a password.
Well, but
to
they
go
may
in
have,
there.
they may have a hard copy. I mean, so we have access to the office, but I don't know if we have access to the files, the file cabinets.
Yeah, I don't know if they have
Well,
keys
somebody
on them
said Rafael is not here, but last week the guy, this property manager, he works until 11 o'clock for 2 nights in a row, and he took boxes out of that office. We don't know. I think that Raul or Frank, well, somebody was here. That Elsa, tell us about what he was taking.
Right, I was sitting right there and I asked him, I said, where are you taking our files? Where are you going with those boxes? And he says, I'm taking them home to work on them. I said, on the weekend, why?
Are you gonna
Well,
take
this guy's
personal?
even, he has.
You are not allowed. They cannot take away files from an office. You need to bring it back.
Yep. We have to take
Unbelievable.
Wow. Mr. Russell, basically you will be asking them for passwords and everything,
Yes.
because probably they won't give it to us.
Yes, and we'll make sure we get those.
All right. I don't know if anyone has any more questions.
I just want to say one thing. This has been a fight. We really needed this, you know, and so we're gonna go for it. And everybody took part, you know. This is monumental.
Something that I want to ask everyone, and it's so sad that not only 11 people are here, but we need you all guys. And if you know anyone who lives here and everything, say that we need you guys' help. We cannot take this building out of the crisis that it is right now unless you guys help out. Unfortunately,
I think the
because
email list is gonna make it, if we can get the emails, because we
Yeah.
only know 100 and something of the owners, where there's almost 200.
Shelly's in New York. This is her mom. Shelly, we have been behind a stage, as Russell knows already, in this journey since, I mean, Steve also helped us, Marie, I mean, everybody here contribute here. But what we are saying is, now that we took over from the crooks, we need your help, we need your support, we need, Jose Junco told me, listen, I would like to be at the pool, at the decoration committee, we're gonna have committees, we're gonna make it better than Airbnb, because we know that the livelihood for a lot of people, Airbnb is important, we don't wanna get fined. So we are gonna get you guys involved. Unfortunately here, we wake up, including me, when they trying to pass that 8 million assessment. We didn't do anything before, and these people took advantage of that. We could see today, if I have a new board, a new lawyer, I'm gonna make an effort, even if I live in Homestead, be here. Then they are lost in La La Land, asking in that chat questions and this. You know, I know that 50%, I think that is less than people that live here, but we need your support. I know that I pick up the phone for Raul for something, but we need you guys. Be involved, proactive now, because we cannot do it ourselves. There are so many issues here.
We need that you pay your dues.
You need to pay your dues. You need to pay your maintenance, and whoever is in collections, talk privately with the new board. We need the money.
Well, for example, we don't normally send the check, so we send it to ESG as always, right?
And another thing is, And another thing is, just remember that starting today, Mr. Rosol is not anymore pro bono.
That's a good question. We are gonna have, everything have to go to the board, to contact him. We have been doing through Shelly, communication through you guys. So everything, we are not ready for anything. We have to really consolidate the question and then.
Of course, to the board.
To the board.
So
We have been working
unfortunately,
on
Mr.
that.
Russell won't be taking any phone calls from anybody because like we say, we need to save money. And we need, only one person will be in charge with Mr. Russell.
Sí, hasta las 4 copias.
Yeah, okay? All right, so I guess that's it.
All good.
Motion to adjourn the first meeting.
Yeah. Somebody wants a copy of the Raul. Yeah.
Bye everyone. Bye bye.
We have some sodas and we have some.
Bye everyone.
María, levántalo un poquitico.
Raúl, you have a copy of this?
Sí.
Rafa, I wanted que yo tenga una copia de esto y ellos también.
Ahora, ya. Ya lo puedo bajar. ¿Eh?
Frank, you have a copy